Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to replace the cutting wheel. Now, these two nuts inside of here, you will use a 2 7/16 inch wrenches. Okay? These nuts do not touch the bearings. Okay? What you do when you take this thing apart is you put 1 7/16 inch here, then you put one here, and you undo this one. Okay? This nut here is actually 13 millimeter or ½ inch. So you put 7/16 inch here, 13 millimeter here, and you take this off. After you do that, you get two 7/16 inch wrenches, and you put them in opposite directions, and you loosen them. After they're loose, you unscrew the one on the right side, and you take this rod out. Once you take the rod out, you put in your new cutter, you put the rod back in, you screw this back on, and you make sure that it's perfectly centered. Once it's perfectly centered in the fork, tighten it with both 7/16 inch millimeter or 7/16 inch wrenches. Get it real good and tight. Then you get your ½ inch or 13 millimeter wrench, put it here, and then you put a 7/16 inch here. You tighten them in, but you don't want to get it too tight to where it won't spin freely. And if it doesn't spin free enough, it could burn up your drill. But it's got to be tight, so it spins with some resistance, because when it's tight, it holds centered into the bearings. Okay? Now, some of you guys might be having problems with the wire slipping off to the side when you put it into the V wheel. Now, sometimes the problem with that is that the V wheel is not centered perfectly with the cutter. So what you would do is you get your 13 millimeter or 7/16 or ½ inch wrenches, you loosen these brackets, and then you very carefully, very precisionally move it over to the left. Looks like this one needs to be centered, so we'll do that right now. Let me get another wrench. Okay. Okay, now that one's loose. Okay, they're both loose. Okay, check that out. You see how that's not perfectly centered? It's very important that you get that perfectly centered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over very slightly. Make sure that it's centered, it spins centered. Okay. I'm going to tighten these back up.